Hello, folks. This is Eric Thomas with the Micronesian Life podcast. Today, we're turning the tables on our co-host and co-founder, Mike Pangelinan. Instead of being the host, he'll be our guest. Aside from a Micronesian Life, which we just started, Mike has been very active in the community. He's a loving husband and father. He runs the Islander Champions Tournament, an annual sports tournament bringing Islanders together from across the globe, the last of which just ran in March. And he's a charter member and interim chairman for the COFA CLAN, CLAN being an acronym for Community Leadership and Advocacy Network. COFA CLAN is a network of COFA leadership from across the nation that seeks to not only unite COFA voices to include the other two COFA nations, but seeks mainly to see legislation to make good on the COFA promises. Today we talked to him specifically about COFA and COFA CLAN, how he got started with them, what the organization does, and he gives us some recommendations on things we can do in our localities to pitch in. Let's start the audio. Enjoy. So the name of the group, I remember we were joking about this before, the exact name of the group.
All right, so the name of the group is COFA CLAN, which obviously anytime you have a clan, it's kind of like a negative connotation to it. But when you think about the acronym and what it stands for, Community Leadership and Advocacy Network.
Yeah, that makes much more sense.
It sounds a lot better. So whenever I introduce myself or whenever I'm typing an email out or communication out to somebody, I make sure I put COFA in capital letters, hyphen, and I spell out Community Leadership and Advocacy.
So it doesn't come off as, hi, I'm Mike, I work for the clan.
So here's the funny story behind that. So back in September of 2017, we met in Hawaii. Let me go back a month before that. A month before that, I'm sitting here in my home, here in Arizona. I'm sitting exactly here, right in front of my computer.
Same seat.
Same seat. In front of my computer. I'm working at night. I got Facebook open on one monitor. I'm working on the other.
Right.
Then a friend request comes up, and it's Joaquin Peter. I don't know if you know who Joaquin Peter is.
Yeah, the late PhD out of Hawaii, correct? Right.
And I had heard about the work that he'd been doing. My wife, being from Chuuk, would speak about him and about everything that he's doing.
Right.
And so like so it's not like it's like completely out of the blue, like somebody I don't know. So I hit accept. And within a minute, it's a Facebook call. Like his first action to me was to give me a call, not a message,
not a wave,
not like a wave. And I'm sitting here going, I don't normally do this, but I feel like I should answer.
Should I answer?
So I answered it. And he's like, hey, if you ever spoke to him, he's got this really deep voice.
Really?
Like, really deep. Hey, Mike, thank you. And I'm like, I'm sitting here going, okay, like, I'm still not sure why you're calling me. But then he starts to go on and he's like, hey, I really like what you're doing in Arizona with the ICT.
Yeah.
I'd really like to come out and
excuse me.
And so I'm like, okay, yeah. Hey, we'd love to have you. That'd be great. I know you do a lot of great work there in Hawaii. Thank you and everything. And then he goes, hey, we're gonna have a meeting here next month, and I'd like you to come. And I'm like, okay.
And that was your first introduction too.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, what for? What's this meeting about? And he says, like, we're getting leaders from across the U.S. and we want community leaders from across the U.S. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you must have me mistaken. I'm not a community leader. I just do a basketball tournament.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry. Is there going to be any basketball involved?
Yeah, like I think you might have the wrong person. And I'm like, there are leaders in our community, the church leaders and all of that.
No, you're being too modest. You're being too modest. I agree with Dr. Peter. The stuff you're doing is leadership,
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be naive. I did not look at it that way. I promise I never looked at it that way. Maybe it was a selfish way to look at the tournament, but I wanted to put on a good tournament for the players.
No. But in that, usually you get the best product and outcome, the ones where the motivation is more pure. Right, and that still is an indicator of leadership, is pure motivation that's in the interest of others.
Yes, I wanted to do it for the community, but I didn't look at it as a leadership role, right? I'm like, hey, I'm just doing something. I'm doing my something that I can do.
Right. And here you are about to board a plane to Honolulu.
So here's the best part. He's like, hey, so I want you to come to it. I'm like, well, why? Why me? And he's like, just come here.
Yeah.
And he goes, we'll pay for it. We'll pay for your ticket. We'll pay for your accommodations for a few days. And so I hang up the phone. We hang up, and I walk out to the kitchen.
Excuse me.
My wife is sitting there, and I'm like, "You're not gonna believe what."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "I just spoke to Jojo Peter." She's like, "Oh, really?" Like, I mean, of course she's surprised. Like, "Oh, well, what? That's out of the blue, whatever."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, hey, can I go to Hawaii?
It's like, this is going to sound odd, and I know it's going to sound a little unannounced, but can I go to Honolulu?
Yeah. And she was like, what are you going to do? And I explained to her, I go, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but he wants me to go.
All I've been told right now is to get on the plane.
So... I don't know. About a week or two later, I'm on the plane. I'm going there. I land in Hawaii, and I get there, and I go to the meeting. The meeting is at the state capitol. They had reserved the room at the state capitol.
He was a very influential man in that state, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He had the connections. The guy was an icon over there. Like
right. He had sway.
He meant a lot to everybody. And I still remember the introductions, because like, here I am. I'm in this room with all of these people, and like, oh, I'm the president of ACOM, and like all of these organizations throughout the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm the president of CAN Oregon.
Excuse
me. Blah, blah, blah. And we do this and we do that, and this is what we do for community, and this is what we do for health. And then you got to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure why.
If any of you guys want to play basketball, right?
My name is Mike Pangelinan, and I live in Arizona, and I host a basketball team.
Yeah.
It was the most awkward thing. I'm like, I've got all of these guys these people who are so established in their states,
seemingly politically aware and motivated and driven people, right?
Yeah. I had no idea. Like, again, I didn't know that Medicaid was a problem at that point.
Right. I didn't know until today.
I didn't know that we had that much issues with driver's license. I've never had a problem with my driver's license, but apparently our citizens had.
Yeah.
And so and this is where it kind of all brings in and it comes together. I realized, like, you know what?
That was the first step, right?
I have been looking at this through my lens the whole time, and that's unfair because my lens is different.
Right.
I speak English very well.
Right.
I speak for myself what I consider to be very well. I can walk into an office and get what I want just by speaking to them.
Right.
That's not true for our citizens. They go in by culture. If they're told no, they walk away.
Right. Lots of boundaries, right? And like you said, a lot of them cultural.
I mean, you know what? and so that night, I went. I on the way out of that room, I said to Joe, and I said, I need to speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I need to talk, man.
You had an epiphany though, right?
Yeah, I did.
A sort of awakening.
I was very inspired
Mm-hmm.
that day by listening to those leaders
All the efforts around you.
speak and tell their stories and
Mm-hmm.
their community stories and the work that they're doing and everything. And I said to myself,
Excuse me.
this is
Yeah.
what this is. I had been looking for something to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is how I get connected back to the community.
Right. And so this was 2017. You're talking about September, right? And it's
And so that's where
Mm-hmm.
COFA CLAN was born.
right.
That is the meeting that birthed COFA CLAN.
Oh, so this was the initial.
That was the initial meeting.
Oh. So you're like a charter member.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
so we had a tour. I think it was 2 days, 2 full days, where we got to know each other, planned, or talked about, so what we did is we tried to identify the high priority issues.
Mm-hmm.
We identified it as we need more data on our citizens and healthcare. So those were the 2 things that were identified. And so COFA CLAN got born from that, and I with my background, which again, I'm not that technical, but I do work with software and technology, and so I was kind of put in charge of the data collection. And so I got back, and I was just like anybody else. You're in a new role, you've got a little bit of fire behind you. You're like, yeah, hey, I want to do this. So we set a target out. We said, okay, let's get training, and then let's set out a pilot project, and then let's kick off a national project. And I was able to set the training up. We did it. We successfully did the training here in Arizona. We brought everybody together in Arizona. We did training. Excuse me. And then we kicked off a pilot project, which was supposed to be Arkansas and Texas. But because of funding, we ended up only doing Arkansas, which was successful, by the way. We actually
this was data collection, getting data
collection, like a survey of Micronesians in the area. And we worked with a Dr. Mike Levin, who lives in Hawaii, who worked for the U.S. Census Bureau for many years, and who was very familiar with the FSM and COFA countries. So we actually brought him here to Arizona, and he actually helped us develop
the data collection program,
a questionnaire that would satisfy all of our needs. Like, okay, we said we want to find out all of A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay, right. If you want to do that, this is your questionnaire. So we went down and we identified everything. We put it together, and we actually executed it in Arkansas. Just a few months later, we got the funding. We did it in Arkansas. Our problem was trying to roll that out nationally. You're talking about a $10,000 project versus a $250,000 project.
Right.
So,
but plus geographical disparities is not something small, right? And so you guys were pulling in the initial demographics to start to identify the groups, the who's the various different, like the financial based on financial status, types of employment, stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. We wanted to get basically the demographics, the status of the demographics of our citizens in each of the states.
Right. It's necessary data to begin to look at the problems, right? Because everything is relevant. What problem you're involved in, or you might be experiencing, might be directly relative to pay rate, or it might be directly relative to industry, right? And so you guys started to collect the necessary data to begin that work, right?
Yeah. No, it was good. I'm telling you, man. I mean, we put together a really good concise questionnaire that just did the, again, had we been able to roll it out, we would be in a much better position data wise. I mean, the whole point of us doing that was because if we're going to push Medicaid restoration, we need to be able to go confidently to our local leadership.
Right. With not guess data, but actual data.
Like, look, hey, how many of us do you think live here? There, we can tell you that there's 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. And paint a good picture. And part of it was to paint the positive picture of it. It looked like if we're living here, if these are our numbers and they're working, this is how much they contribute. Yeah. To the local economy and to the tax base and everything. And so it was like I said, it was a really good plan, and that was all JoJo's leadership. That was all under JoJo's leadership to do that. And he wanted, what his vision was, all of these states do need their local leadership. They need the local organization leadership, but you need one unifying body,
a national voice,
national body, right? That brings it all together. So
right.
I mean, again, we're all fighting the same battles, just in different ways and in different states.
Yeah, different pockets, different battlefields, but it's the same war.
That's what that was. That's what COFA CLAN was. And so, coming back, like, how do we get to the name? We met, but we didn't have a name, and so we left saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave, and we're going to come up with them. We're going to come up with names. And so what I said to them, I said, look, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send an email out to everybody here, and you submit your nominations for a name, and then we're going to vote on them. So I sent out the email to everybody that was in attendance. We got all of these results back, and at the end of the day, that's the one that won.
That's the one that got the most votes. As long as you guys don't start wearing that pointy hat,
Right, exactly. I mean, once you can get past that plan part of it, it's really makes a lot of sense.
So, the organization formed in, like you said, around September 2017. It's May 2020. You guys have representatives from all over the nation doing all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes. I'm kind of the interim chairman of COFA CLAN. When JoJo passed away last year,
sad event.
Yeah, it was devastating to us and to everybody. But we were 1 week away from convening in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I still have my chat with him leading up to that. But when we got there, we talked about how we're going to move forward. So I took over the interim chair and said, okay, well, we're going to. I shouldn't say I took over. They had voted me into that seat. Right. Okay, well, we're going to work together. We're going to continue this effort in JoJo's honor.
Yeah. So you guys
we are gonna most likely. I got to be careful about how I say this.
Right. A lot of stuff still pending.
It's a collaborative effort. Everybody's got it. We're going to work together in this, but I think right now, what we all visualize is, because CAN is already registered and operating and doing their thing.
So they're already 501(c) under the IRS.
They are actually a 501(c), which is they're a lobbying party organization.
So, like we were talking about there on the FSM Open Forum, the range of issues that are connected with, I think the way you stated it was, how did you word? You said registration status, or wait, how is it exactly? But it's relevant to that, basically that alien registration thing, right? I mean, so these things have got to range. Like, for example, I didn't even know about the Medicare thing. Like, I guess I'm like you. Honestly, I don't really.
Medicare, driver's license issues.
Well, that's one where you got to redo your driver's license every year because of the weird status. Yeah.
So even that was causing people to not be eligible for the real ID.
Right. Right. I mean, like, recently there's been a whole bunch of people all across the lower 48 and the other two that are voicing concerns about, like, for example, unemployment insurance. And, like, my daughter went on there. She's going on 23. I'm proud of her. She's a great kid. But, you know, I get this call from her, and she says, Dad, what do I put in here? Because, you know, in the process of getting all my children their American passports, I couldn't provide the 4-year proof of us living in Utah because my elementary school records burned down, you know? So she got stuck. I shouldn't say stuck. It gives it kind of a negative connotation. But so she still has only a Micronesian passport. But then that I-94 thing came up. You know, so here we go again. We're back to that weird status thing.
Right. Yeah. The status thing. The reason why that's such a challenge for us is because it's not just a national.
Yeah, it's the states mainly, correct?
It's a state issue.
Yeah, and that's 50 states to deal with.
Yeah, everybody's going to deal with it differently. I mean, look, I'm an FSM citizen. I've never had a problem getting a driver's license.
Right.
That's not true for everybody else.
Yeah. It's state to state.
Yeah.
Like, we lived in New York for a while, and there was no issue up there either with driver's license or any of the other stuff. There, you know. I mean, it would be a little bit longer. Somebody would have to call a supervisor, but generally they came back and say, yeah, COFA status. But other states, not so much. And so you guys are working on, and that's an enormous task you guys have, isn't it? Right? Because, like, for example, specific to that, because you deal with the national government, but I assume you guys also are trying now, or probably in the future, to see those things make their way to the ground in the lower 50.
So what we're trying to do is build enough of a network at each local level to go and educate the local leadership. So to go and meet with their elected officials, whether it's mayors, council people, governors, state senators, legislators. Just to get in and start talking to them and educating them about the COFA relationship.
Yeah.
And I stress the COFA part because I'm from the FSM, but this is not an FSM thing. We at COFA CLAN and CAN look at this as a COFA issue.
Right. So you have members from the other two.
We look at it as a combined effort with the Marshallese and the Allowance.
Right. Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And
we've done such great work up in CAN. David Anitok, Joanne Lett, they with the leadership of and help of Lloyd Hennion, they've done so much good stuff up there, and they're so successful with their efforts that that's what we need to replicate.
Right. So they're an example of what has worked, right? Where informing the Oregon state and maybe municipal governments or counties or whatnot has not only gained traction, but it's translated into actual laws, right? And so if you guys can get replicated in other places.
I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly where this kind of depending on how you look at it, it's going to look completely different, right? Sometimes people look at organizations as like, oh, we're just going to get together and do things as Micronesians and make ourselves more known. No, like, that's fine. Those organizations should exist, and people need to get together and be united and do all of those things. Our efforts are geared towards making actual change. We're not here to hold get-togethers like a festival and say, hey, here we are, we're in
Right.
your community. No, we're here to say,
Excuse me.
we're what we're trying to do is say, no, we're being treated unfairly, and this is what we need to do about it.
Yeah, right. So you're not looking for somebody to say I'm sorry. What you're looking for is somebody to look. If you don't understand, I'll explain to you the relationship. Now make a policy change where this actually affects the day-to-day living of those affected. Right. No, I mean, and those are, I mean, those are the organizations that, in my personal opinion, are the ones that should be supported. Right, the ones that, it's great to get together and bond and reaffirm relationships, but at the end of the day, if all those meetings still wind up with that year-to-year driver's license, then maybe that organization isn't designed to do that. But to have an organization like CAN and CLAN that is doing that it's a tremendous help to the community.
It's our main effort, right? It's what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we do this. It's to bring about real change. Not just make everybody, get everybody come together and talk about this and then go home and let's meet again next year.
How large is the membership? Like, you have organizations in how many states so far?
Well, we've got people in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Utah, Missouri.
Oh, it's sizable.
I think Missouri is on board now.
It's a sizable organization.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But we need it to grow. We need it to be bigger than that. We need it to include every state.
Right. Ideally, there'd be, at a minimum, 50 member organizations, each representing COFA concerns in each individual state, right?
Yeah.
But it's growing.
It's growing. It's a good. It's definitely
moving in the right direction. Right. What are some of the challenges you guys have bumped into? I mean, every organization bumps into challenges. Like, you talked about the data, developing the demographics data and all that stuff. And I imagine funding is probably hard to come by these days.
Funding is, but then you look at organizations like ACOM. ACOM is a very good example. Arkansas Coalition of Marshallese.
Okay.
They're in Springdale, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
They are a very well-run organization.
Mm-hmm.
They have really good leadership that is very successful in identifying the needs of their community and setting forth initiatives and attacking them in the right manner and finding the funding for it. They partner with the local businesses, the businesses in that area. They're the right model for it. And whenever I talk to people about, okay, well, what about us here in Arizona? I say we need to get there. We need to get to that level. We need to get to the standing that they have within their community and their state and recognition to be able to walk up to a discount tire company or these companies, PetSmart, that call Phoenix their home and say, hey, we're part of the community. Amazon, hey, we're part of the community here.
It seems like
these things help us out.
It seems like the ACOM membership took it upon themselves, and rightfully so, to make local buy-in a high priority, right? To get people in the local communities, like you said, local business, stuff like that, to not just recognize, but to kind of put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, you recognize that we're here and we're contributing, but do you also recognize that we're having issues? Are you willing to pitch in so we can fund some of our efforts, to try and get legislation passed and stuff like that? And they've had wild success, it sounds.
They've done a very good job, and they're doing tremendous work in their communities. For example, this COVID-19 thing, they set up a task force. They have food drives. They have, they have funding assistance. They've done it right.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Because COVID-19 is a perfect example, right? People have a tendency to say, medical, No, it's much farther reaching than that. It's touching their pockets, their paychecks, food on the table, and you indicated that ACOM not only recognized that, but they're attacking it.
They've done a phenomenal job, and Can's done the exact same thing under their leadership over there. David Anatok, who was a Brooklyn Warrior, he's out there and meets with tons of people, tons of elected officials, and just makes really good traction in this work. They're very successful in what they do, and that's what we gotta all do. We all have to do that in our areas.
But so there's the question: success. Well, the question is success. The question is how you come by it, right? Do you guys provide, or would you guys be able to assist? Let's say, for example, here in little old Tennessee, right? I'm talking to you from the Music City. Let's say the guys here got together, a group, and of course the first question would be like, "What are we doing?" And then I assume there would be a way to reach back to CAN and say, "Hey,
reach out to us."
Yeah, can you link us up with other people that have done it? Something we can shadow and look at. Oh, so that's how you're doing that. But so that is something you provide.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys get together and take the first steps towards organizing, reach out to us, reach out to CAN. When we are able to get together, we'll make that happen. We'll get everybody together, and you can learn from everybody else in the group, just like I did. We just formed in Arizona. We just legally formed. We registered a couple months ago.
Oh, good for you.
And that would not have happened if I wasn't part of COFA CLAN and hadn't been exposed to it. But
this is all back to that awkward Facebook call.
That's where it all started, right? It's exactly what got us here, and it's unfortunate with this COVID-19 thing that we haven't we weren't able to keep up the momentum. But we had our first conference call a couple nights ago, or not nights ago, about a week and a half ago. And I was telling our elected board, I was like, hey, you know what, guys, this isn't let's completely forget about this, but we have other things to worry about right now, but let's keep this kind of in our sights and figure out what we can do to help our community. And that's what we're doing, is we're trying to figure out what are our local needs right now. I highly encourage you, being in Tennessee, to get some people together and just start it.
Right. Well, we just covered that like 2 minutes ago, where the goal is to get, at a minimum 50 organizations localized to the different, because you can have to address the laws of each state within that state.
Every state has its dynamic.
Yeah, and to expect CAN to handle it on that's a ridiculously awesome, heavy task for anybody to take on, and probably not appropriate at a national level.
That's a good point. You're right. It's not appropriate. Like it wouldn't be our intention to come in and just
right.
It would be our, and that was we talked about that in that September meeting, and JoJo was very good about addressing that, saying, look, we are not coming to override anybody. This is not about overshadowing or taking people out of their organizations out of their role. This is a support organization. We are supporting them, and if they want our support, we will support them. If they don't, fine, we will find another way to get there to help. But we do not step on anybody's toes. It's their local leadership is their local leadership, and it should be that.
I love the concept of it being smaller organizations, sort of a union of organizations, right? When you guys meet, it seems to me that it provides a fabulous opportunity for these smaller organizations to look at each other and say, let's say, for example, hey, dude, I'm this small organization just stood up in Tennessee. I hear you guys are doing great things in Arkansas. You want to talk? it's like a great networking opportunity.
Total learning.
Yeah.
It's a complete networking thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Why reinvent the wheel?
When we get together, and when I have the opportunity to get together with these guys, I ask them the question. I'm like, hey, so what do you do for this? What do you do for that? Like, how can we do this? Or I mean, I want to learn. I want to understand how they do it, and bring that back to Arizona and say, hey,
Yeah, and it's
the way we want to do it.
to see the other guys that have done things that you're potentially going to be tackling, and knowing that they've done it and succeeded, it helps, right? It lays out, okay, so this mapping of tasks worked, and worth looking at for adoption. Yeah. So it becomes a massive resource, massive cloud compute type stuff. But how do you feel about the future of this organization? I know that's a really broad question, but
whenever I feel like I might be losing a little bit of steam on it, it's easy, man. I mean, it's like, first, number one, this is all volunteer work. We don't get paid for it.
Right.
It takes us away from our lives. It takes us away from our families. It takes us away from daily responsibilities. A great network, man. These guys that I am blessed to have an opportunity to speak to and exchange messages with and talk to and say, hey, what are we doing? How do we do this? And what are you guys doing? And just being able to do that is just so refreshing. Like everybody, again, we all know it, man. We're not getting paid a single penny.
Yeah.
But we know this, and that's not why we do it.
Right. That's got to be a tremendous experience, because almost as a requirement for volunteer work, I mean, there are instances where you can volunteer for other than honorable reasons, but there seems to be none here. And almost as a requirement of it is selflessness. So you find yourself rubbing elbows with people that are doing things for the greater good. It's got to be an uplifting experience.
Like, man, I say this all the time to my wife. I love the group that I work with. These guys are great. They inspire me. I think if you put us all in a room, I'm the one that shouldn't be there, but I'm glad I'm there.
You're too modest, Mike.
I'm doing the work. So, it's how I feel, and it's good. It's a good place to be. I'm glad. I mean, I'm at that point in my life. I said this to a few people not too long ago. I said, you know what? If you're not ready to volunteer, don't.
Right. Make sure your heart's there.
Everybody goes through seasons in life. If this had come to me about 15 years ago, I might not have been ready. But I'm here now.
Right.
And so it's just about where you are at in life.
So let's close this out. So let's say one message you would say to all the people that are hearing. Would it be something along the lines of, hey, if you don't have an organization in your area, maybe you should start thinking one. And if you need resources, maybe you should think of reaching back to us to help out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I will say, if you don't know of an organization in your area, try and find it, because it could exist.
Yeah, there might be one, right?
They could be starting up. Get connected into your communities. Get connected, get moving, get organized. COFA CLAN, CAN, and these other organizations, wherever they're at, would love to get in touch with you and get you moving, because we all know this is a collective effort. We're all fighting the same battles. We can help each other out, united, and getting organized is one of the best tools we can use. Reach out, we're on Facebook now. We're thankfully with technology now, there's a lot of ways to meet and get connected. But reach out, because we do need to start getting these states that have not mobilized moving. We need organizations to start forming, and then as we start doing that and it starts to grow, we can start to put together more and more get-togethers or opportunities to work together to make sure that we're all doing this the most efficient way. When we talk about affecting change, that involves a lot of details. Meeting your leadership, meeting your representatives, and all of that. And we don't want you don't need to start behind if we're already there. We can help each other out. But yeah, so definitely, if you don't know of one, try and find out. Reach out to your community. If there is one, great. Let's get connected. Connect to us. If not, maybe you're the person that needs to start it.
Right.
And it takes a while to start, but start it. Just start holding meetings, get together, talk about it. And like I said, we're on social media now. So reach out with your questions. Hey, I have a question. We're here in, wherever we're at, we're having issues with driver's license, or we're having issues with this. Reach out. That's a form of connection. Let's get connected and let's get things moving.
Great. That's a great message. All right. Thank you for all the things you do, for all the work that COFA CLAN, CAN, all your member organizations do. Thank you for encouraging people to do impactful things. I tip my hat to you, Mike.
Oh, no. Hey, thank you, Eric, for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it. Again, we do this as a collective group for our people, and we are united in that effort. We appreciate we appreciate the support, the assistance, and the feedback. We need to hear from everybody and be able to work together, because we need all the voices. So I appreciate it. Thank you. You're doing a great thing.
Thank you. For Mike and myself, please let me say thanks for joining us on A Micronesian Life. If you have a story you think is worth telling, let us know. Drop us a note at amicronesianlife@gmail.com. Leave us a brief description of the story and we'll get back to you. Until then, get out there, make a difference, thrive.